Amidst the dimly lit streets in the city, I found myself in the clutches of danger. The icy cold wind whispered through the alleyways, echoing the tension in the air. My footsteps resonated, intertwining the intense silence of horrendous night. Fear resided within me as I clutched my 7 months old baby bump. My heart pounded so loud that I could hear it thumping in my ear. I was terrified, and it was clearly evident by the way my body was shivering. With heavy steps, I trudged towards the dark corner and leaned against the wall. I could feel the cold concrete wall against my back. I gasped and slapped my hand against my mouth to suppress my heavy breathing when I heard the countless footsteps coming in my direction. I was unaware I was crying until I felt the dampness on my cheeks. I pressed my lips to conceal my sobs. Swallowing the lump formed in my throat, I turned my focus on breathing through my nose. My mind reverted back to the time when I decided to visit my friend. Despite my husband's denial, I was adamant to pay her a visit. In front of my persistence, his leniency bowed down, and he agreed on letting me meet her. He sent a good number of guards with me, but one sudden attack from his foe, and here I was, hiding from his rival gang. I regretted overlooking his concern. Only if I had obeyed him and stayed back home, taking rest like he suggested, I wouldn't be an unfortunate pawn in the dangerous game between my mafia husband Kim Taehyung and his bitter enemy, Marco. My trains of thoughts broke when the group of masked men walked past where I was hiding. I stuck more into the wall, as if I wanted it to break and engulf me, away from the evil eyes, so that my baby and I would be safe. I restrained my breathing until those men ran past me and disappeared from my sight. I sighed in relief and removed my palm from my mouth. Sucking a good amount of air through my mouth, I came out from my hideout and strolled in the opposite direction from where the masked man had gone. My one arm securely wrapped around my baby bump, and with the other hand, I wiped the sweat off my face. Turning around the corner, I entered in another alley. It was wider and brighter compared to the previous one. A gust of cold wind brushed past me, erupting goosebumps all over my body. The hair on my neck stood up in attention, like a clique of raccoons. I was cold, thirsty, and famished. Even my baby had been continuously kicking me to feed her something. I plodded through the street. Only one thought clouded my mind: to reach my husband as soon as possible and hide in his arms. "Got you, sweetheart. We will get through this," I whispered, rubbing my bloated belly where my child was restless. More than her, I was giving assurance to myself. However, my thoughts along with my steps halted in the middle of the street, where the sight of few masked men at the end of the street came in my line of vision. My first instinct was to hide as they weren't looking in my direction, but much to my dismay, I stepped in a puddle of water, making a splash sound which instantly gained their attention. Panic filled inside me as I looked back and found them sauntering in my direction. I gasped, turned around, and started running. But whom am I kidding? It wasn't easy to run with a port like belly, swollen feet, and an aching back. Marco's trained henchmen caught me within seconds. "Where are you taking me? Let me go!" I cried out and wriggled in their hold as two of the men held me by each of my arms. They led me towards the end of the street, and I, with my 7 months old fetus, tried my best to get out of their hold. "Leave me. You know who my husband is. If he got to know that you guys have ambushed and kidnapped me, he will kill you without any mercy." I roared with my remaining strength, threatening them, but it obviously had no effect on them as they continued to drag me. When threatening didn't work, I tried to call for mercy. "Please let me go. I'm pregnant. At least think about the baby. I promise my husband will leave you all alive if you let me escape." I wept loudly, thinking maybe, just maybe, my painful cries would melt their stone heart. "Hey lady, keep walking silently if you don't want us to force you. It will be better for you and your unborn child," one of the masked men threatened. The roughness in his tone sent shivers down my spine. I called them henchmen for a reason. They would follow their boss' orders blindly, no matter the repercussions they had to bear after that. "Your husband owes a debt, lady. You are the collateral." The man who was holding my right arm spoke. I was weeping hysterically by that time. The thought of my husband and our unborn child filled my head as I wept even more, relishing the sweet memories of us. From my teary gaze, I watched a waiting van as they ushered me in that direction. Upon approaching the van, they loosened their grip on me. I stood still, aware of the consequences of pulling any stunt in that situation. I didn't want to risk my child's life. Next moment, darkness surrounded my vision as they blindfolded me. Hey! I let out a whimper of protest and tried to remove the blindfold, but they held my wrist, and next second, my hands' movement restricted as they tied my wrist together. Hey, let me free! I raised my wrist, tried to free them. I wasn't able to see or move. I felt them holding me and holding me inside the van. I kept shouting for help all this while. Maybe I made another mistake by shouting as they put a duct tape on my mouth. Now I could only purr against the tape. Tears rolled down my cheeks, damping the blindfold. I flinched when the engine roared to life and the van started moving to an undisclosed location. Panic coursed through my veins as I awaited an uncertain fate. I didn't know what I had to pay for their enmity, but I was sure for one thing. I would beg if I had to, for my child's life. I let out an exasperated sigh and pinched my nose. One of my associates blabbered who knows what because I wasn't paying any attention to them. So, we all have decided to withdraw our shares. We don't want to work with you, Mr. Kim, he said, and other associates nodded along with him. I reclined back on my chair and crossed one leg over other. I stared at them with a cold, blank look and watched them swallowing in nervousness. So, you don't want to work with me? I uttered, intertwining my hands. They nodded in unison, hesitantly. Okay, Lorenzo, pass them the documents. I ordered my assistant. He moved at my order and passed the said papers to them. I relaxed on my seat and watched their face paling. This, this is cheating, one of them roared, jolting up from his seat. We don't remember selling our shares to you. These papers, these papers are fake. Other one jolted up like Chile's valley gate in blazing oil. I silently enjoyed the drama, swaying my chair side to side as one by one they all jumped from their seat. Called me sadistic, but I was enjoying their reaction. So you are saying the sign on these papers are fake? They are not yours? I raised my eyebrows, placing my chin onto the crooks of my jointed palms. They looked at each other and then met my eyes. These signatures are real, but still, this is cheating. They reiterated the same thing. I hissed and closed my eyes, holding my palm high to shut them up. It ain't my fault that you are blind enough to not read the papers before signing. I shrugged my shoulders nonchalantly. Whatever your small shares are left, you can withdraw and work with whoever you like. I don't give two flying to you and your demands. Show yourself out. I smirked and gestured at the door. They all glared at me, forgetting who I was and what I was capable of. I removed my gun, which was concealed behind my suit jacket, and placed it on the desk before me. I hope you all are aware of the consequence of showing your eyes to me. If not, my gun will gladly do the honors. I reprimanded, and they lowered their eyes, gulping at the sight of my metallic gun. Get out, I roared. The calmness was now replaced by coldness. They hurried out of the room and disappeared behind the door. I scoffed at their nerve. What did they think? I would bow down and beg them to stay. Kim Taehyung never bowed. I said something like this earlier, thus tricked them and bought all the shares. They say everything is fair in love and war, and this was business, a war to be on top, by hook or by crook. Someone played dirty and manipulated these greedy associates, but that certain someone forgot I wasn't cold as skin for no reason. My train of thoughts derailed when my phone went off. At the same time, Lorenzo's phone rang too. He excused himself and went in other corner to converse. I frowned, seeing an unknown number. Nonetheless, I picked it up. Hello? I commenced, holding the phone to my ear. I frowned, hearing a wicked laughter from the other side. My jaw clenched and hands balled into fist when I recognized the voice. What do you want? I greeted out. His laughter ignited a fire within me. You, on your knees before me, Marco, my sworn enemy replied. I snickered at his remark. Are you high or something? Go to sleep. I mocked and rolled my eyes. He was seriously testing my patience, which was already running thin. But trust me, you will be on your knees when you will know that your wife is with me. He let out yet another wicked laugh. I jolted up from my chair. My expressions hardened. Dare to touch her, I swear I'll burn you to ashes. I gritted out, my tone calm and authoritative, unlike the raging storm within. Oh, I'm scared. He mocked and burst into laughter yet another time. A deep urge to gouge out his teeth settled within. You can't do anything to me until your wife is with me. I will use her as a leverage to triumph over you, and I will succeed this time. No one can stop me. He uttered and disconnected the call before I could say something. I groaned and threw the phone across the room. It struck the wall and broke into pieces, just like how I was going to tear that into pieces once I got my hold on him. He was surely going to regret going after my woman, along with rage. Fear crept inside me when the thought of my wife and our unborn child struck my head. Boss, ma'am, an animated Lorenzo walked over to me, raised my pipe, holding him in between. I know. Line up all our men and house helpers. The information of wine going out was leaked by an enemy disguised as our ally. I'll personally interrogate them. I demanded and got a note from him in return. He exited the room, leaving me alone with my anxious state. I was fueled by rage and concern, but I couldn't lose my calm. Losing my sanity means I would lose the half battle then and there. I had to think wisely and take cautious steps because my wife's life was at stake. I had never thought about it, but I would beg if I had to for saving Wine and our child's life. I was tied up on a chair in a desolate warehouse. My stomach twisted badly as a strong scent of gasoline filled the air. The room was suffocating, the only source of light a flickering bulb overhead. I shivered when the door creaked open and Marco entered, a sinister grin edged across his face. Well, well, who we got here? Isn't she the wife of mighty mafia boss? He sneered, circling me like a vulture eyeing its prey. Let me go. You have nothing against me, I said, mustering up my courage. Sweetheart, I have everything I need against your dear husband. Looks like your mob boss husband won't be able to save you this time. He'll be left alone when I'll be done with him. He leaned down and whispered near my face. His gaze moved to my baby pump. My hands is to protect it from his disgusting eyes, but too bad. I was tied up. Fear mingled with the determination in my eyes. He won't bow down to you. Let me live and I'll convince him to settle this down peacefully without unaliving you. I offered a polite suggestion. Marco's laughter echoed through the room. You are brave, no doubt. But you see, your husband has to learn a lesson, and you will be the key to his education. He tilted his head, throwing a devilish smirk on my way, and left the room. In the confined space, I whispered to my unborn child, Stay strong, my love. Your father will find us. A lone tear escaped my eyes as I couldn't even comfort my restless child. I know one of you had betrayed me, just once. I'll only ask once. Who the hell leaked my wife's information? I roared, eyeing the downcasted head of each being present there. I paced around them, observing each and every face meticulously. I know one of them did it, and they wouldn't willingly accept it. I removed my gun, and two gunshots echoed through the living room one after the other. A guard knelt down, holding his bleeding thigh, and a maid cried out, holding her wounded shoulder. Start speaking before I empty all the bullets in your skull. I need my wife as soon as possible, and I won't tolerate any delay because of you both. I said, and sat on the couch like a king I was. We are so Another gunshot followed as I shot the sad guards another thigh. Told you I'm an impatient man. Tell me what I want to hear. Where is my wife? I stressed on each word, insinuating that I wasn't in the mood to play any game. She's at Marco's abandoned warehouse at the outskirts of the city. The maid spoke like a robot. Take care of them. Set an example before the world what Kim Tae-young does to the one who dares to betray him. I ordered, looking at one of my trusted henchmen. He nodded and took the two traitors away from my sight. Lorenzo, prepare a team. We are heading to Marco's hideout. You will take care of his minions because I don't want to waste a single second fighting with those buffoons. I want my wife. I commanded, and Lorenzo sprinted out at my order. Clean this mess and prepare a good fast for my wife. I ordered the maids. They hastily indulged themselves in the said task. I'm coming, darling. Wait for a few minutes. I murmured, gazing my phone screen where my Vian's picture was set as wallpaper. Hours passed and my anxiety grew, exacerbated by the uncertainty of Taehyung's response. Suddenly, the door burst open, revealing Marco, the sinister smirk across his face unwavering. My heart raced upon noticing the gun in his hand. You won't get away with this. Taehyung will find me. I squirmed on the chair. He snickered mockingly and stepped towards me. Ah, but darling, I have planned this meticulously. By the time your husband dearest figures this out, I'll be done with you and his hair. He pointed the gun between me and my baby bump. Scared would be an understatement of what I felt that instant. I was terrified and shaking internally. I could bear anything but something happening to my child stirred my insides. You'll regret this. My words were left unsaid when I heard the faint sound of gunshots. A smile made its way to my lips. He's here. I grinned and looked at Marco, who was looking shocked. Count your seconds. Soon you will be in hell. I smirked at the sight of a restless Marco. Seconds later, the door kicked open. Taeyong stood there with fiery determination in his eyes. The air crackled with intense silence before he spoke. Let her go, Marco. This is between you and me. His voice gave away a hidden warning. Marco chuckled maliciously. He pointed his gun at my neck. Its cold metallic tip against my warm skin made me shiver. I looked at Taeyong, whose hands instinctively went to the gun tucked in his waistband. Not so fast. I have some unfinished business with your pretty wife. He dug the gun more into the arch of my neck. You touch her, and I'll make you regret your existence on earth. Taeyong growled and aimed his gun at Marco. I couldn't help but admire his fierce protectiveness, even in the face of danger. The room grew tense as Marco and Taeyong engaged in silent standoff. If you don't want to see your wife's dead body, then kneel, Marco smirked. Taeyong looked at me, his eyes softening for a moment, which soon darkened when it shifted to Marco. I closed my eyes when he slowly bent down. I couldn't see him losing his pride for me. I was still processing the situation when I heard the loud sound of gunshots. My eyes shot open when I heard a third sound. The coldness against my neck was gone. I peeked beside me to find a groaning Marco. His limbs were short at the joints that he couldn't even move them. I looked up and found Taeyong standing in his glory. Remnants of gunpowder steamed out of his gun tape. He walked forward and untied my hair. Are you okay? He gently asked, rubbing my wrist, which had turned red due to the ropes. He knelt before me and cradled me in his arms. The tears that I had been holding all the while slowly cascaded down like a waterfall. I sobbed, feeling him stroking my head. Close your eyes. His words held a gentle demand. I closed my eyes and he covered my ears, burying my face in his chest. I heard a series of gunshots until the groans of Marco stopped. Slowly looked at him through my glossy eyes. He threw the gun across the room and cupped my face. Are you fine? And our little one, is she fine? He asked, his gaze softer than ever as he cased my belly with other free hand. I'm hungry. My feet hurt. My back hurts. I want to take a bath. I want cuddles. I voiced out the list of my demands. He chuckled and kissed my forehead. Let's go home. I'll wash you up, then I'll feed you your favorite dish. Then we will cuddle as much as you want, okay? He pecked my nose. I nodded with a pout. He gently wiped my face and stood up. Picking me up in bridal style, he made his way outside the stinky place. I rested my head on his chest and closed my eyes. I couldn't help but feel a newfound appreciation for the man who risked everything to ensure the safety of his family. Gratitude and love filled my heart as we walked away from the harrowing experience. It strengthened our bond. We walked away from the dark chapter, determined to build a safer future for our growing family. The challenges of the mafia world lingered, but our love and relations proved stronger than the shadows that sought to tear us apart.